What if I told you that trauma doesn't really exist, or that your past has absolutely no power over your future? Sounds crazy, right? Well, today we're diving into the radical and honestly pretty counterintuitive ideas from the international bestseller, The Courage to be Disliked.
Now, this book is all about the work of Alfred Adler. He was one of the three giants of psychology, right up there with Freud and Jung. But his ideas, wow, they are so different, they pretty much challenge everything we think we know about happiness and why we get stuck in life.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with a feeling we all know, the sense that we're prisoners of our past. Then we'll get into Adler's wild alternative and see how this one shift in thinking could give you the power to change your life, like right now.
Okay, let's kick things off with a question that, a lot of us wrestle with. How much does our past really define who we are today?
It's a super common feeling, isn't it? The idea that some event, maybe a relationship or a failure from when you were a kid, is the reason you are the way you are. It feels so powerful, almost like it's already decided for you.
The book gives us this great example of a young man who just can't leave his room. He says he wants to change, he wants to have a job, but the second he tries, he gets overcome with anxiety. So the usual way of thinking, the kind of Freudian way, tells us to dig into his past, right? Maybe he was bullied, maybe his family life was tough. The conclusion is simple. The past caused the present.
But this is where Alfred Adler just throws a giant wrench in the works. He comes along and completely rejects that entire line of thinking.
I mean, listen to that. That statement is incredibly blunt. He's not just questioning how much power trauma has. He's flat out saying that no experience, by itself, can actually cause you to succeed or fail.
And let's be super clear about this. Adler isn't saying that bad things don't happen. Of course they do. What he's arguing is that those events don't have some kind of objective power over you. The power comes from the meaning we decide to give them.
And this really gets to the core of it. The power isn't in what happened, it's in how we interpret it. The same exact experience could crush one person, but end up motivating another. Which means the power to define our lives is always with us, right here, right now.
So this leads us to the biggest difference between Adlerian psychology and, well, pretty much everything else. It's a huge shift from looking backward to looking forward. Etiology. That's the model we're all familiar with. It's the I am this way because that happened to me story. It's all about finding causes in the past. Think Freud.
But Adler's model, teleology, just flips that whole thing on its head. It says we are not being pushed by our past. Instead, we are being pulled toward goals that we are setting for ourselves in the present, even if we don't realize we're doing it.
So let's break this down side by side, because this is where it really clicks. Etiology asks, why am I like this? And it looks backward for an answer. But teleology asks, what is the goal of me being like this? It looks at your purpose right now. And here's the kicker. It suggests you might actually be using past events to justify your current behavior and to achieve some kind of goal. Okay, let's make this really concrete with another example from the book. Picture this. You're in a coffee shop, a waiter accidentally spills coffee all over you, and you just explode. You fly into a rage and start yelling. So the question is, why? Why did you yell?
The typical etiological answer is, well, I yelled because I was overcome with anger, right? The anger was this uncontrollable thing that caused me to yell. But Adler's teleological answer is kind of shocking. He'd say, no, you had a goal to make the waiter submit to you and fast, and you fabricated the emotion of anger because it was the best tool for the job. The anger wasn't the cause, it was the instrument you chose to use.
Okay, so if you're with me so far, a huge question is probably popping into your head. If we can just choose our emotions and our behaviors to get what we want, why are so many of us still unhappy?
This is the big one, isn't it? If we actually have this power to choose, why is changing so unbelievably hard? Well, Adler has a very specific answer for why we get stuck in these patterns, even when they make us miserable.
So Adler uses this term lifestyle. It basically means your whole worldview, your personality, your beliefs, the way you see yourself and the world. And here's the crucial part. He argues that we unconsciously choose this lifestyle for ourselves, usually when we're about 10 years old.
So why not just choose a new one? Well, think about it. Even if your current lifestyle makes you unhappy, it's familiar, it's predictable, you know how to deal with it. Choosing a new lifestyle, that means stepping into the complete unknown. It's scary. You don't know what's going to happen. And for a lot of us, the disappointment of what's familiar
feels way safer than the anxiety of what's not.
And what this all boils down to is a pretty tough pill to swallow. The thing stopping you from changing isn't your past, it's not your environment, and it's not that you can't do it. According to Adler, it's just a lack of courage, the courage to face being happy.
And all of this leads to a seriously empowering conclusion. It takes all the focus off the things we can't control and puts it right back on the one thing we can.
I mean, just let that one sink in for a second. This is the ultimate freedom that Adler is offering. The past is over. It has no real power. The only power it has is the meaning you decide to give it, right here in this moment. Ultimately, the power isn't back then. It's right here, with you. You're not a victim of your own history. You're the author of your own life, and you get to start writing the next chapter based on the choices you make today.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with Adler's challenge, but pointed directly at you. Forget about yesterday. Forget about 10 years ago. Right now, in this very moment, what kind of life are you choosing to live?